Let's get into the good, the bad, and the ugly on my 2JZ swapped 4Runner. I'll make this as short yet dense as possible, so hang with me. I'm gonna start with the engine, then we'll move into, you guys don't care about it. So the engine, it is a 2JZ GE VVTi out of the Lexus IS300. I chose VVTi personally for the low end torque. I just always thought that was a better benefit for my kind of driving with this particular build. This engine has non-VVTi pistons and rods, 440cc injectors off of eBay, an aftermarket adjustable exhaust cam gear, an OEM 2JZ GTE MLS head gasket, ARP studs and bolts, and I recently converted to 1ZZ Toyota Yaris ignition coils. A lot of this stuff I purchased on eBay or another source, marketplace, etc., just so I could save money, and that's also why it took me forever to do this. I got my turbo. It's a Jack Spania 6262 T3, I believe, turbo I got on Marketplace. Scored that for a couple $100. Manifolds, also eBay. I think that was a couple $100. This intake manifold, you guessed it, eBay. That cost me $80 for the plenum, and then I bolted the lower runners on. All the piping and those sorts of bells and whistles were Amazon. And that's really it for the engine. Didn't spend a ton of money on it, but I feel comfortable pushing this engine to over 600 horsepower. This exact build, aside from the cams, are what's in my 2J swapped Tacoma, and we're putting down just south of 600 horsepower on that. Reliably, so far, knock on wood. Some of the other components I am running that I haven't talked about is the radiator. Again, with this stuff, there's a lot of different options. I chose a Mark III Super radiator. It's what I started from the beginning, and I just made it work. I did end up cutting my core support out, as you can see. Again, people do it, people don't do it. I just found for my particular situation, that's what worked best for me, so I ran with it. As you saw in one of my previous videos, I did a power steering modification. I moved it off to the side a little bit, utilizing a BMW Universal reservoir I found on Amazon. I have seen people use it in the factory location. I think it depends too on the type of front-facing manifold you're using, but for me, this was just easier. Amazon fuel pressure regulator, it's been great. Haven't had any issues with it. The transmission, I probably got the most questions on regarding how I mated the two. The transmission is a stock R150F four-wheel drive transmission utilizing an Acuna R150F to 2JZ/W58 bell housing, and it bolts right up. The clutch you use is a W58 Supra clutch, and I picked up one off of Marketplace. It's a Clutch Masters twin disc. I don't know the exact model number, but it is very grabby. It's not the most street friendly, but like anything, you just get used to it. But it's a great clutch. I'm never gonna have any issues with it at this power level. The driveline had to be modified, so I just bought one that was a little bit shorter, and it bolted right up, no issues there. The rear diff, open as can be. Everything's been pretty reliable. Haven't had any major issues aside from normal swap things or human error. As far as the actual components lasting themselves, it hasn't been an issue. I am running a smaller intercooler. There are a lot of different options you can use with this. This is like a CX Racing type intercooler, but I just picked one that was lower profile. And I saw this video that Mighty Car Mods did regarding painting the intercooler black. And in their video, if I'm not mistaken, because I watched it like 5 times, it showed that the intercooler had higher efficiency in cooling the air when it was painted black. I don't know if it has to do with the reflectability or what. It seems like it wouldn't work, but I went with that because then it also blends into the lower bumper. I modified my tie rod to accommodate the 2JZ oil pan. Originally, I was cutting out the oil pan. I found out I was just going through engines, blowing them up, and I narrowed it down to that, and I haven't had any issues since I have not done that. There are a couple workarounds, such as body lifts and those kinds of things, but I decided to go this route because I wasn't trying to lift the 4Runner super high. As far as some of the nitty-gritty things go regarding the actual swap, I did make my own custom mounts. They do offer mounts through, I believe it's CX Racing. Those mounts are going to be for a vehicle that came factory with a 22R 4-cylinder engine, not the V6. I did run into some fitment issues, and so I ended up creating my own. The mounts, when I went to purchase them, were about $350, and I made mine for about $0 because I had some metal lying around. I pushed the engine as far back to the firewall as it would go without actually touching it. I didn't modify the firewall at all, aside from being able to get the transmission in, because everything does sit a little bit higher and further back than the stock components. I'm utilizing aftermarket fans. The harness was constructed by yours truly utilizing all TXL automotive grade wire. I bought a pin connector from Pro Tuners. I haven't seen any commercially available GE plug kits. They've all been GTE, so I use about 75% of the plugs, which is fine. And my engine management system is ECU Master Classic. I've had great luck with it. It's what I started with. It's what I know, so that's what I've been going with. I'll probably end up moving to an EMU Black in the future, but I've had great success and it has everything that I need for this particular build. Some issues I ran into with this swap are the brake booster. With my particular front-facing manifold, I did have to modify the back of the manifold with a fine-tuning 4-pound sledgehammer to get the brake booster to fit and not have to remove the intake every time that you want to take the brake booster out and vice versa. The exhaust manifold that I'm currently running had an external wastegate port towards the bottom and I was running into issues with it hitting the front differential, so I ended up blocking that off. I did a T3 to T3 adapter with a V-band off the side and I'm running my external wastegate off of that, so it's much higher and it's out of the way. I'm not running any sort of catch can setup. This harness does have aftermarket Bosch knock sensors. In my opinion, that's absolutely the way to go if you want to have any sort of reliable knocking detection. I did get my factory speedo and tachometer to work. I can do a video on that if you guys want. It's actually quite easy. I say that after doing like 8 hours of research. I picked up these sick hood struts from AVR Customs. This vehicle was originally vacuum actuated 4-wheel drive, and since I didn't have that anymore, probably because I ripped it out in my ignorance 4 years ago, I converted to manual hubs and I have functioning 4-wheel drive. The transmission sits roughly 5 or so inches back from its stock location, which honestly doesn't make any difference to me. It still feels very comfortable to drive. It doesn't feel out of place, and I had to make minimal modifications to the center console. I'm running, I think it's 2.5-inch turbo piping all across the board. My throttle body is 90 millimeters. That's what you get for eBay, but I made it work. I also am running a 4-inch dose pipe because I don't care about my turbo and I like those spoolie sounds. The exhaust was done fully custom by my buddy Jonathan and his fabulous tubing bender. We ended up going around the front drive line, up and over, or rather through the cross member and then out the back. The cross member had to be modified slightly. I had to build it up a little bit since everything's sitting a little bit higher. Again, if you can weld or know somebody that does, it's not a big deal at all. So now I talk about some do's and don'ts, or maybe just some do's or maybe just some don'ts. So if you think about attempting this swap, in my opinion, just go standalone right from the start. There have been people that have successfully utilized the stock ECU with the harness and the immobilizer and all that stuff. I started that way, but what I quickly realized was that there's like 12 cars that have a 2JZ GE, a few that we got in the US, and a bunch, like the Toyota Pro Gray, tell me if you've ever heard of that vehicle, over in Japan, and all the wire colors are different, so I had a very difficult time tracking down what wires went to where and such. I really wish I would have gone standalone from the beginning. You know it's going to work. The instructions are extremely clear in order to wire it in, and also if you make your own harness or have a harness made, which I would recommend despite the cost, every single harness that I bought off a marketplace or eBay or something from an actual car was always super brittle, as it would be because it's an extremely old car. I would also, if you pick up a 2JZ, I would highly recommend going the GE. There are a lot of people that I follow, buddies that I have, that are using GTEs, and that's great if you got the money for it. I don't. More so, in my experience, the GEs are much easier to come by. I've actually found a couple at Pull and Save here in Washington, and I know people have, and you can find them very easily for under $1,000 online if you do probably 20-30 minutes of looking, tops. If you can afford the GTE, that's great. From what I've researched and what I know, the heads flow about the same. The GTE does have oil squirters and a couple other small things, but in terms of performance, if you're going to build it for 500-600 horsepower, something a little bit rowdy but nothing crazy, GE is more than enough, and you can build it quite strong without having to break the bank. In terms of cost, just throwing a rough number out there from my memory, I would say that I spent right around $6,000 or so on this build. A lot of the reason that it didn't cost more was just doing my own work and waiting for deals to come up and those kinds of things. You could dump a whole load of money into this, as you know. The Tacoma, I did for about $6,000 or so, but I had some parts laying around already, but you can get it done reasonably cheap. Power to money ratio, in my opinion, is great. The miles per gallon I get out of this thing is great. The turned heads I get are great. I really enjoy this vehicle, which makes me even more sad that I'm going to be selling it. I am excited to give it to somebody who will enjoy it, because I have really enjoyed it. The whole process, really. This 4Runner dynoed at 360 wheel horsepower at about 350 pounds of torque, running about 15 pounds on spring pressure. And there it is. That's pretty much everything I can think of at the moment. I know I'll get back inside and be like, hopefully this was helpful. I know it'll help me because I'll forget half this stuff in a year and I'll have to come back and watch this video. I got this one comment on my Instagram, and at the very end he asked, "How are you?" It had to make me think about things, and figured I might as well give an honest answer if anybody's watched this far. And the answer is, okay. I'm doing okay. I haven't shared a whole lot about my life on this channel. I try to keep it pretty car related. Life is extremely busy right now. I recently had a second child, so now I have 2 children in the home. It's wonderful. I love it. I would not have it any other way. But at the same time, it's extremely stressful. I'm still learning how to be a dad to 1 child, and now I have 2 boys that I'm gonna try not to screw up. And nobody could have prepared me for everything, and I still don't feel prepared. That's caused me to really feel down a lot of days because I want to be the best possible. But I have to remember that nobody's perfect. I try and keep my mind focused on positive things like working on cars and spending time with my family and doing well at my job. I believe that everything happens for a reason and that we're not put in any situation without a purpose. And so I'm going to keep making these videos because I love making videos. We'll get through it. Thanks.